Hey, welcome back or welcome to the channel. If you've been following, you'll know we swapped two hulls for two wheels. Headed down to South America, Santiago to be exact. Managed to get 6 days of riding before things went a bit pear-shaped. And that was the end of our riding trip. We could either go back to the boat and anti-foul or stick with the plan, which we did, and head down to Ushuaia. But before the penguins, let's look at Puerto Montt. From the very start, this trip was to combine motorcycling with a recce of whether we could sail down through the Chilean canals on our high-performance plastic fantastic. But then, faced with the fact that we had neither a motorcycle or a boat, we thought, how are we going to see the canals? And then Anne spotted this cruise ship. And I thought, wild horses will not get me on a cruise ship. And I spotted this ferry. Much cheaper. And let's face it, a good step up from our last cruise. The ferry covered the exact route that I sail in my dreams frequently. Even told you what clothes to wear. You could tell quite early on that it wasn't exactly a cruise ship. A bit like the miners' cottages we stayed in, and reminiscent of school dinners. It was all quite informal. Captain's briefing. If you see me wearing a life jacket and running, follow me. All quite Scottish looking and just as cold. We could do this. Dawdle. If, like me, you quite fancy sailing in Patagonia but think it's too wild and woolly, check out Scotland. It really does look just like this. Can't help but feel a bit guilty that we should be sailing this. Pretty stunning. Wonder what it's like when it's cold and wet and windy. Sailing down the middle of the channel, the perfect channel marker. Hit it so hard, with funnels bent forward, you can just hear the captain's last words. What was that? Winkling our way down through the channels. I know you'll get tired of this, but you really could be in Scotland. See? Definitely Scottish. This is the last turn up towards Porto Natalis. Up through what they call the wind factory. You already see the spume lifting off. So if you're ever coming down here, about now would be a good time to shorten sail. About now we thought, I think we need a bigger boat. You get the impression it's quite windy. There were people out there getting their tattoos blown off. Once clear of the wind factory, things calmed down a bit. and we winkled our way up through the fjords. This was only the second sailing boat we'd seen on the whole way down. An aluminium 50-55 footer tucked into a little caleta. Someone I spoke to said that, oh, you'd be fine in a catamaran. It is a bit wild, but the caletas are calm. Tell that to Anne. The boat was struggling to make more than 9 knots against this wind. And when I was stood here on the foredeck, I could hardly breathe, the wind was so strong. We were 1 day late in departing because it was so windy. And when we got to Puerto Natalis, we got stuck, anchored offshore for 36 hours because it was too windy to dock the boat. And then, what's the first thing we see at anchor? A catamaran. Continuing to fake it, we spotted this Ocean Cruising Club burgee and went along and saw the folks on Gaia. They'd had an exciting trip, wet and windy. What else can you expect? But us, we got on the bus, headed for Ushuaia. The end of the world, and you'll be delighted to know the end of this video. We'll pick up from here on the next one, but by that time we'll be anti-fouling in Grenada, stuck for Wi-Fi, so don't expect it in the next week or two. But do come back and see what happened when the wild horses did finally drag me on a cruise ship.